Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the CM Mentors podcast. This is episode 2, season 2. What's up, Kyle?
Hey, Matt. Good to see you again. Welcome, everybody, to season 2. Looking forward to it. We got another great guest here this week. We have Gloria Fuentes. She is the owner of GloJoy Construction, also a third-generation entrepreneur. Through the Baylor University, and is also a top CM voice on LinkedIn. So we're really looking forward to talking to her today. Learn a little bit about the company, what the work she does, and her thoughts in the industry. But first, Matt, let's talk a little bit about our sponsor.
Yeah, before she gets on the screen, I'm wondering if I can heckle her for being a Baylor Bear. So she's actually, she's laughing. She's the second Texas girl we've had on this week, or this season. So it's awesome. Anyway, this week's sponsor is Alt CMO again. We're the go-to construction chief marketing officer agency. I did a really bad job, I think, last week of hyping them up. It's the agency I helped co-found, but I found that I'm pretty good at marketing stuff, but really bad about marketing myself. That's what I've been realizing. But what we specialize in is growth marketing, talent acquisition marketing. We have a delivery team that can do all the digital marketing, but we're not a digital marketing agency. We're trying to set ourselves apart from that, really providing full 360-degree marketing look at companies. And we got people from within the construction industry, so we know the industry and we know the ins and outs. So excellent. I guess with that being said,
let's get her on.
Hey, Gloria.
Hey,
Gloria. Welcome.
Hi, everybody. How are you? Can you hear me all right?
Hearing you great. Thanks.
Great. How's it going?
I'm doing fantastically wonderful, as my dad would say.
And Gloria, you're joining. I was just going to say, Gloria, you're joining us from New York today. Is that right?
That is correct. I am joining you from New York.
Can we have that roll in the background when she comes in?
Should have.
Horrible intro. Anyway, for Gloria, for people who don't know you, a little bit more. We're gonna give a little bit more background than what Kyle primed up.
Yeah, so my name is Gloria. I am one of the founders of GloJoy Co. We're a design plus build construction brand, and we're a construction company that really focuses on, as you had mentioned about your sponsors, a 360-degree, overview and provider for construction. So we do pre-construction to actual project execution and construction management. And then for our retail and business clients, which is predominantly who we serve, we are also providing, management of those maintenance and property services after the fact.
So I know this is kind of your second career to Alex last week. How'd you get into this? Because you were in the fitness world before, is that right?
Oh man, fitness is like one of 10 things that I've done in my past. So it was a part-time job and a hobby, and I thought that would be like the business that would take off and set me free from corporate, but instead it was construction. And we do build out fitness spaces, so I guess I'm kind of still in fitness. But yeah, that was one of many things that has kept me employed over the past 2 decades I've been working.
Gotcha. So what got you to transition into construction?
I bet you didn't see that coming.
I've been in construction my whole life, forced into construction effectively by way of family, blue-collar family working in oil and gas, which is, our link to Texas. Grew up as an expat. So, grandparents, dad, uncles all came home with jumpsuits and trucks. I went to international school with other kids whose parents worked in oil and gas and doing construction for pipelines or whatever the heck it is that they were building out there. I don't really know. We were off doing our own thing. And then my grandparents owned a supply business also in the Caribbean. So in summers when I was shipped over to grandma and grandpa's, I inadvertently had to work at the store, had to go on installs, we would ride in the back of the van when grandpa had to pick us up from swim class or whatever, because, grandma had the van. Like, we were just in and around construction our whole life. I am a millennial. I was forced into tech. I did go to school. I, did go into a banking job. I did do real estate and other quote unquote white collar jobs for about a decade and a half. And then I just wound right back into construction. So, here we are.
So cool. So when you wound back up in it, and GloJoy was a part. If I remember, you told me your story a while back, but it was a partnership between two people, and it was, how'd y'all see? Where'd that vision come from to do what you're doing?
Yeah, so actually, I've had the same admin for all of my businesses for, I don't know, the past decade and a half,
That's so
because
cool.
even if I have worked at a corporation, I've always had a side hustle or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so Tamara Joy Sanchez is that woman. And she has stuck by me through every crazy business idea or, brand that I wanted to launch. And she's always been the back end of every single business that I have ever put together. This is the second business that has been actually remotely successful and is going somewhere. And, we decided because, and by we, I mean me and her, decided, since she's been with us for so long, the next obvious promotion would be to just make her a partner of the business. And
So cool.
so she is a minority partner of the business. She's a silent partner at this time. She doesn't do any work. We use technology to do a lot of the stuff that she used to do, which is like, woohoo. So she definitely goes over reports with me on a quarterly basis, and other people and consultants that we've hired on our team. But, and hopefully we'll start, paying her shares worth of profits very, very soon. As a small business, only been around for 5 or so years, we still pour pretty much everything back into the business and take very little for ourselves.
No, definitely know about that. So Gloria, there's a lot of things you mentioned that you offer for services, and I'm very curious. What is your typical client base? What industries, what sectors are you working in? Are there any that you don't work in? Kind of how does that look?
Yeah, so that's actually an awesome question, and a question that we get asked quite a bit. And really, we work with people who are investors and or businesses that are more focused on growing a brand or a portfolio versus, your one-off custom home build, or, a one-off multifamily development, or one-off office build out, right? So we don't do a lot of office build outs because usually that's what it is. It's like a one-off. But we'll do retail build outs or work with gyms and fitness brands that maybe eventually will franchise or have a vision to grow to multiple. Those are our clients, right? And then we also work with large entities that have large portfolios. It could be an investor, it could be a developer. We've recently signed a contract with one of the large churches in the Northeast, and I think they've got like 90 something churches or something, in their portfolio. And obviously, we're not working on all of those at once. We might be doing a project for one or two here and there. But yeah, so we're really looking at helping people manage an entire portfolio of properties or grow a portfolio of properties from the construction and CM standpoint versus just doing projects to do projects.
Sure, yeah. So is it safe to say then that your focus is mainly on, let's say, like the program management, big widespread, execution of multiple projects that are kind of going down one avenue versus by the project basis, each individual one, basically.
Yeah, so I see myself as a visionary and like a huge big thinker, right? And so a client could come to me for a build out of a single Pilates studio, for example. We'll take that as an example. And eh, they may just want to build one in one location in their one hometown, but the way that we build out their program, or their pre-construction design build package, it is something that can then be copied and pasted and duplicated and taken to another location nearby, or to another state, or what have you. And we'll try to work always with the same architects, same engineers, same even real estate brokers, believe it or not. So try to keep the teams cohesive so that it's always kind of the same process.
I gotta say, I love your model, just of everything you're doing, because your construction's very one-off all the time. It's new people, a new project, a new thing. It's new relationships. It's new business development. You're always trying to go find the next project, but the more you can kind of repeat, you can keep improving and incrementally improving, and you get to know the people. You build those strong relationships. You get on a new project and it's the same architect, the same engineer. You're building the same fitness facility, or it's different, but it's the same.
Right.
So many of the bugs are already worked out of the process. You know what I mean? And so I love that.
Exactly. And there's other factors that you learn along the way, right? The
Mm-hmm.
climate here is not the same climate as Texas, as California, or others. Of course, we're working with local experts and local licensed contractors and professionals, but that's where also leveraging relationships with people like you, and others in other markets kind of goes into play, because we can get references and referrals from actual humans that we like, know, and trust, versus going to, I won't bash on any online platform, but, your atypical online platform where subcontractors live, and sending it out to 200 of them asking for a bid,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
And you have no clue who they are, or really how to vet them very easily.
Not a clue. Not a clue. Yeah. Luckily, we have social media this day and age, but still, no clue.
Yeah. No, and you've done a fantastic job of building up that network too. I see you're all over everything, all the socials, the Instagram, the LinkedIn, and everything. And so you definitely got a network coast to coast that you can call on probably anybody, anywhere. So it's awesome.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, shout out to the network. Thank you guys.
well, gotta do the shout out. Well, and Matt, you hit on a really good point earlier. You're kind of talking about doing projects and basically kind of learning from them. Like if you had multiple ones, you can do repeatedly one after the other. Gloria, do you see that in the work that you're doing, where being able to execute multiple projects, more or less back to back of kind of the same, at least very similar, that has a big improvement on quality and cost and schedules and all those things?
Oh, 1,000%. Particularly since we use software and we track everything and we pull reports and we look at how much money we lose because we didn't do X, Y, and Z at the beginning, and listen to the client versus doing things the way we always do.
Mm-hmm.
And, rushing into a process or a project, or if it's because we miscalculated the quantity for a material, and why did that happen, or any other little things, right? And then one of them recently that came up was flooring and the durability of flooring within certain spaces, and also having to check humidity. And you already know why this happened, right? Humidity, and temperature changes in certain locations versus New York, right, where everything's kind of controlled. And you think in Texas, with all those big, huge, ginormous AC units, that they're also controlling humidity indoors. But unless they have some sort of like VRF, that's not happening, right? And so that needs to be incorporated into a build out, or needs to be considered, because if not, it's going to affect the finishes, it's going to affect the adhesives, it's going to affect the floors, and they're going to lift depending on the use. And I know that I've said a mouthful to people who don't really understand HVAC and AC and heating, but the gist of it is that there's so much that needs to be considered when selecting a floor versus just how it looks and what color.
Well, it's also your
You know?
construction sequence too, right? Because I've seen people,
Right.
like you were just saying, if you're not dehumidified your building, but you can go pour a slab or even maybe do a pour back in a slab, and concrete holds a lot of moisture. And so you get your concrete moisture down. Then your air could be dehumidified, but then if you got moisture coming up from the bottom, you're going to have the same problems. I've seen that happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so there's so many other factors. And so for each project, we learn, and, we like to do, I guess, a like post project meeting where we go through not everything, just everything that went right, and give congratulations and applause to everybody. But also, we want to go through everything that went wrong and why. And, what did we learn from this, and how could we potentially do better on the next project? And there's always learnings in every project, because no construction project is ever perfect. And any CM that says that they can deliver a perfect project on time, on budget, every single time, and is perfect is full of shit.
100% true. So those what do you call them? The post project? We call them like postmortems, but that's people are trying to get rid of that. But what do you call it? The post project learning?
I just call it like a post project meeting. I try not to call it. I have pretty much everybody. So there's two of them really, because I feel like the field is a little bit shy if management is there. So I'll have one separate with the field and one with like management and like hybrid type roles. And that will also often include the project architect, the project engineer, because they're usually the same team over and over again. And if it's a client that's obviously looking at new locations or that we work with frequently and we want to continue to keep happy, obviously we're going to include a representative from the client as well to, really talk about their role, because sometimes it's the client's fault. And the client doesn't even realize that they
won't admit it, but
yeah, like why did this project slow down? Well, we hired special inspectors that we didn't particularly need on this project, and that was not just a waste of money, but a complete waste of time. Particularly for certain projects where you have licensed professionals like plumbers, electricians, and others that can do the same inspections, and the building department is also doing inspections. So sometimes there's a requirement for these controls, especially when environmentals are in play. And that's really, really important to have special inspectors. But sometimes it's not. And sometimes it's kind of a waste, and it boggles down the project. And everybody's in a bad mood because you have these quality assurance people around. That are nitpicking things that don't need to be nitpicked. And I love my QA folks. I really do. I love y'all. But sometimes y'all are just too much.
When you were talking about having the field at one of those meetings, what do you mean by the field? Is it the general contractors people, or do you go down to subcontractors as well, like the major subcontractors? Will they show up?
All the major subcontractors.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I want feedback from the electrician and, from the flooring guy and, from the lady that owns the cleaning company and the plumber's team. I want feedback from everybody on what we could have done better. And oftentimes that feedback comes in the field in like a heated moment where they're like upset because I have a timeline and, I want answers now. And that's fine. We'll take the feedback then. But then at the end, once things have cooled off and the project is finished, I want not just the feedback then, but like, let's dive a little bit deeper now that, you know, you've had some time to think about it and everybody's role in what happened.
Yeah. Do you feel that you're seeing any trends or any common learnings coming out of these post-project meetings? Anything that's, and I'm sure a lot of it depends on the situation, but sometimes it is fun to notice.
All a communication fail.
Yeah.
Somebody didn't say something, so and so covered up for so and so because they didn't want them to get in trouble, or they thought this is my favorite, that they could get it done within XYZ timeline, even though they were short 2 guys because Jimmy just had a baby. But we don't want to like say that, or you know what I mean? Like, and it's always something like purely innocent most of the time that for whatever reason they feel like they can't communicate with us. And so we've really, and particularly using software and the communication tools within the software, we're really trying to encourage them like, hey, we're human too, right? Like, we have family members who pass away. We have spouses who have kids. We have babies that get sick. There are car crashes that happen to everybody. Trains get derailed and are late, and so on and so forth. Like, there's an account online called The Human Side of Construction.
Angelo.
Yeah.
He was our very first ever guest on here.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't even know. I literally just recently found that account. But I really love the name. That's like great branding, because people forget, it's a business, but I mean, there's people running this business, and these people are humans that have lives and wives and husbands and kids and, aging parents and so many other things going on that we also need to take into consideration. And so, yes, timelines and budgets are important, but there's a lot more to life. And so we try to also consider the human side of construction.
To give a shout out to Angelo, if y'all aren't following Angelo's page, The Human Side of Construction, go check it out. And me and him, it's kind of a testament to what the industry needs, because me and him both kind of started our Instagram journey at the same time, and I kind of took an early lead in followers, if you're going to call it that. And we're kind of always texting back and forth, and I kind of heckle him a little bit, but he does the same back to me. So it's fun. And like, because my Instagram's mostly became a meme page. And like, I make a bunch of memes. I put a bunch of smart content. I'll put, the podcast clips on there and that sort of stuff. But primarily it gets a lot of traction from the memes. And he does some
the
memes
best memes.
Appreciate that.
They're good. I wouldn't say the best.
We've had some pop off with over 1 million views. Like, I mean, we're doing good over here too. But yeah, we're just not as committed to the meme game as Mr. Graves over here. He's definitely got that consistency flowing with the memes.
But with that said, we kind of started the Instagram journey at the same time, and I'm up to like 35,000 followers, which I think I'm killing it, right? But he's up to, like, I was just looking at his page like last night, he's up to like 65,000 followers. And it's just a testament to like what the industry needs, right? Like that human side of construction, and just the conversations he's starting on his page is really great. So if you aren't following him, if you're not one of the 65,000, go check him out. It's Human Side of Construction on Instagram. He does a really great job, and really great conversations are happening. So
I concur. Let's get him to 70,000. It'd probably be 600,000.
But I want to go back to something you said a minute ago when you were talking about, your admin, the Joy side, and you said a lot of this stuff, you have a lot of technology and tools that are kind of doing a lot of the admin stuff. So what kind of tech are you using right now to help your processes?
Yeah, so we use a software technology called Builder-Trend. It's what we found that works for us and the types of projects that we're working on, and also just the people that we're working with. There's a little bit of combination of multifamily and developers that have a residential component to their projects. And then there's the institutions like churches and or schools. And, you have folks obviously in the retail space, because most of our projects are remodeling projects or repairs or upgrades, new roofing, or maybe on a building that we're managing, all of that. So it's all within existing property. We're not really building new custom large multifamily buildings or something like that. Then this particular software is absolutely perfect for us. And I call it like an ERP of construction, because we're also managing our entire business with it, from, sending out bids. We can send out bids from the software to the subcontractors on particular projects. Those bids then get converted to POs. Those POs then get converted to bills. And so all of the financials are kind of like managed and ran within that. And you can look at your budgets and build takeoffs and all these different things from the plans, which is all integrated. Of course, it's got a CRM. So, all the sales leads that come from an Instagram or a podcast or wherever, we track them within the CRM. We can take notes, log activities. So true ERP. Then, of course, we manage our projects within the system, and it's got all the tools that we need, and it's simple enough for the clients to also use, which is really, really, really important, guys, really important. And simple enough for the field to use, subcontractors to use. We can add the vendors and suppliers to the system. We usually just tell them it kind of works like a Facebook page, like a Facebook group page. And it does have schedules, Gantt charts, and all of that stuff. I mean, I could go on and on, but pretty much everything that you can think of, RFIs, submittals, change orders, like everything can be done within this one tool. What we did is we rolled out software slowly and we rolled it out one module at a time. Mm-hmm. And we only rolled out the modules that needed to be rolled out to the people that needed to see those modules at that time. And Builder Trend did a really good job of training, of doing one-on-ones, recording those, etc. And then once we'd mastered those modules, then we moved on to others. And so the reason I'm sharing this is because I think a lot of people are really scared to implement software, particularly in construction. And so my suggestion to them would be to find the right solution for you, because this is not going to work for other companies or people that are doing road construction, for example, right? It's just not the right tool. It might be, you can modify it and play with it, but I don't think so. So the second thing is don't just throw it all out and tell everybody, hey, you got to use this, and this is the way we're doing things, and without no training or anything, because that's just a recipe for disaster. And I would also not make the assumption that just because somebody's a millennial or a Gen Z, that they're automatically going to pick up this software and know how to use it, and or be able to use it. It's particularly in construction. You have to understand that if people are in construction or blue collar, their mind thinks a different way. We're here for a reason. Most of us sucked at school, didn't read the manual. We're notorious in the field for not reading the manual and just going for it. Like, ooh, look at these tools. Does this go like this, or does it go this way? Right there.
Mostly
right?
Electricians, right, Kyle?
Oh, well, as long as it's not a broom, yes. Never seen one of those before.
But software, I think, is it's great because it allows us to hire a different caliber of employee versus just spending all of our labor dollars on data entry people or people managing documents or checking emails, which is literally what Tamara Joy used to do. And she's gonna kill me for like saying her full name like that. But that's literally what she did. She was like logged into my email and she would go through the emails and all the conversations, and we had like a color coding system, and then she would download the documents and we would load them onto Google Drive and different folders, and then I'd have to send her screenshots of text messages to upload as part of documentation and conversations. And then we'd have like a Microsoft projects Gantt chart schedule going on, and something else over here. And it was just, yeah. And it was just the two of us also. And she only worked ever part-time the whole time too. Like it was never like full time.
Yeah.
But still it was like so much manual work and spreadsheets. I mean,
that's construction management 101 is you learn how to use Excel.
like we had so many spreadsheets. And luckily, when we started to use software and we tried different softwares, I'm really grateful that a lot of the software companies are able to look at the spreadsheets and kind of help, duplicate some of those processes within the software and explain to you in training and, import data. I think that that's really important too, because a lot of people spent a lot of time on these spreadsheets, particularly construction managers. And believe it or not, they're the ones that are the most hesitant to use the software. They're like, no, my spreadsheet's perfect. Like, we don't need this. Like, I don't want to use this thing. I don't want to learn something new. Yeah.
Well, and you're speaking a lot of things, to what I've dealt with too in our company, which is trying to get software that can do everything in one package. Because no matter how deep we go down the rabbit hole, we're finding one piece of software does one thing really well, but it doesn't do anything else well. And so before you know it, you've got 10 different platforms you're trying to work from. And then you bring somebody new onto the team and trying to get them up to speed and understand. It just complicates the whole thing.
Well, then you get 3 or 4 different platforms that don't talk together. Then you got to have a spreadsheet in the middle to connect them.
Full circle, back to the spreadsheet.
Yeah, and this is a note to the developers, right, that make these softwares, like having an open API, like smartest thing you can do, because that way you could communicate with other developers for other softwares and integrate, and we don't have to create an Excel spreadsheet that talks to them. And is Buildertrend perfect? No, absolutely not. And I'm an ambassador for Buildertrend, and I proudly tout their name everywhere and tell people happily who we use for our project management and to run our business, because it really is a huge part of our business, but it is not perfect by any means. What I love about it, though, is that they know they're not perfect, just like construction projects aren't perfect. And they are really good at taking whatever feedback it is that we give them as users, as clients, the field, and they try to roll out new features all the time with the feedback that we provide as the end user. And they've got super users and people that are part of their R&D team, like us now, because we love to give feedback, because we're New Yorkers. We just tell you how we feel. And I would say that that's one of the benefits and one of the reasons that we even chose them in the first place. We did a trial for 90 days. And within the 90-day period, we were not sold on a lot of their features. And honestly, we're about to cancel. And we were like, no joke, we were about to cancel and like move on. I was like, I'm just going to build my own stuff in NetSuite. That was literally going to be my next. That was going to be my next. Like, I'm just going to build it myself. But the reality is that they were able to listen to some feedback and tell me that I needed to roll out certain features because I was only in a basic package. So I needed to upgrade, and how I could modify certain features. And it all worked out, right? And I think the best part about it is that for the size of business that we are, because we're very small, it's affordable enough to where we can run. And I say enough because initially there's like a little bit of a shock. But good software does cost money, just like good laborers cost money. And so, once you do the math and you're able to say, okay, Tamara, you don't have to pay Tamara this many hours a week to do this manually and to do this kind of sort of the best we could versus the software, and you start to really compare apples to apples. There is no apples to apples, whether it's Builder Trend or something else for people. There's other solutions.
We'll kind of switch gears for a second. So the seeing mentors as we bring on people, they kind of are out there in the industry making huge strides, being successful, but really a mentor kind of to the next generation coming up and in.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you had a piece of advice you could give to, I want to say two pieces of advice. One to like kind of the next generation kind of coming up, maybe even just, maybe even minority ladies, because there's a lot of people, maybe they don't feel like they fit into the white male industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's a piece of advice you'd give to kind of the next generation coming in, but also to somebody that was kind of in your shoes, which kind of found construction? I won't say you found construction because it's always been a part of your upbringing in your life, but like kind of found the construction industry as a career later on in life.
Yeah, that's actually a really great question. And for the first part of the question, I would say learn another language. Okay. The reason that I was able to move up so quickly as a CM, or I think even got an opportunity as a CM and, was able to get to the field and then eventually go from being just a freelance safety person and project manager to with an assistant to an actual company that has a couple project managers and works with, multiple GCs. We even self-perform some work, etc., is because I speak multiple languages. But I would say pick another language, particularly one that's relevant within the construction industry. If you're of another culture, I would say immerse yourself in that culture and that language. I can think of many others, outside of the Latino community, which I'm a part of, that I see, very heavily in the construction industry. And so just knowing those languages or being immersed in that culture, I think will really help you get ahead. So that's the first one. Whether you're male, female, white, black, Latino, Asian, Indian, anything, it doesn't matter. Just learn another language. Okay. And for my folks in Texas that work in the construction industry, if you want to move up and you really want to show up, even if you are a, white boy like Matt, learn some Spanish. Like, seriously.
No habla over here.
You'll get promoted much faster because you'll be able to communicate with different levels of the field. And for the Latinos in Texas and throughout the country, learn English. Guys, like, just learn English. Like, everybody doesn't need to learn Spanish, and you will also move up much faster in the company and have better opportunities and get paid more because you are bilingual. And for the ladies, I think, I would say there is so much more to construction than picking up a hammer or being a tradesperson. And if you want to go do that, go for it. You know what I mean? But I find that women excel in detail-oriented roles personally and are excellent multitaskers because they are built to multitask. Mom with a hip and a stove and all that stuff going on at once, another one screaming back here and whatever. Like, you're built that way. Like, we, as we're wired that way. So use that to your advantage and get into those management roles, get into those safety roles, get into those supervisory roles, because the construction industry needs that multitasking ability that you have, that budgeting ability that you have, project management. There's a lot of transferable skills, and this goes to answer your second part of the question, between other roles that have nothing to do with construction that are, very relevant to the construction industry. Prior to construction, I worked in corporate banking and commercial banking, analyzing not just real estate deals and other type of deals, but also just managing banking teams. I worked for the head of financial institutions. I worked for the head of HR. I worked for the head of operations and managed like a move from one floor to another. I managed the opening and was the owner rep for a location in Singapore. Those were all construction project management jobs within a banking organization. And they knew that whoever it was that put me in those, they call them special projects, and they just don't pay you more. They just give you stuff that you like. But, shout out to the team at Lloyd's Bank for just recognizing that, I didn't want to be behind a desk all day, and they needed to give me special projects in order to keep me in the organization for as long as they did, and I appreciate that, because a lot of that experience was then used for me to be able to start an owner rep business, and I could even include those in the very, very early stages as part of my projects and my portfolio of things that I had done, so there are a lot of transferable skills, particularly project management, accounting, operations, document management. Like, there's whole roles in insurance companies where all you do is scan stuff. Okay. And I know this because I have a really good friend who's worked in insurance for 30 some odd years, and they always have a professional scanner. And that person's role is really document management. If we, want to look at it, they're a professional document management person. They label, relabel the documents. They save them in the right folders digitally. They get, I guess, sent out to whoever they get sent out to, etc. That's very necessary and needed in the construction industry, and for project coordinators, and even out in the field with safety and all the paperwork and signage that needs to go up, right? So a lot of transferable skills. I would say talk to a recruiter, talk to somebody like Matt, myself, or even Kyle, even though I just met Kyle, but I'm putting you out there, and slide into our DMs. And if you have a question or you want to transfer into a construction career from something else, I think I'm an open book. I'd like to think that Matt is pretty accessible, and so is Kyle, given the name of this podcast. So I'm just going to put it out there that you can reach out to us, and we'll do our best to help you out or point you in the right direction. Also, if you're just somebody who's in one side of construction and never done something on another side of construction, don't be afraid, even if you've got 10, 15 years in the industry, to still reach out to somebody within the industry if you need help with something. A perfect example of this is I text messaged Matt over the weekend. I needed some help with a requisition form, and something that we don't particularly use because we've got Builder Trend. And, it's something used very widely in corporate, and we've had other project managers on our team that use it. We had a GC that needed some help, and I was like, hey, where do I find a resource to help this particular person, a good resource? Because I'm not going to know the difference between YouTube video A and YouTube video B, right? So can you help me find a good resource, or do you have a good resource to send to the GC so that they can complete this form that is required for the project? And, he was able to help me out in a couple hours. He sent me some links, and, the GC was very grateful, didn't have any questions, but I gave him Matt's info anyway. And I've been in the industry for years. I still needed help. And so using your resources, even as somebody in the industry, I think is also really important.
That's what's, to touch on that though, that's what's huge about building a network. And that's why like
Yeah.
I tout LinkedIn so much. Like, go be active on LinkedIn, and like you don't have to be looking for a job, but just like you meet people. You like I feel like, and you probably feel like the same way, because I mean you reached out to me for something that I don't know, maybe because I made a meme about pay apps. That's probably why you reached out to me. But uh what does it say? But anyway, I feel like I have enough people in my network now where if I have a question about just about anything, I have somebody I can text, call, email, or something to like, hey, what about this? And
Yeah.
I have so build up that network. That's huge.
Absolutely. And it can be anything, absolutely anything. I think I've got a great network of electricians and plumbers throughout the entire country. And so if I need to understand reg in California, for example, I know exactly who I'm reaching out to.
Yeah.
If I, depending on the location in New York, need a question answered about whatever, I know exactly what electrician I'm going to reach out to, or plumber, etc. So yeah, also just knowing and having that network of trade professionals as well that you can lean on, not just professionals on LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, and I also want to say too, plug in for fellow entrepreneurs that are starting a business, running a business. Honestly, that's where I've seen just a crap load of value with networking and meeting people through
Oh yeah.
and social media, people that I otherwise wouldn't have met, that have changed either the way I do my business or have been a resource to help us get through some really tough, challenging times, whether it's through funding or maybe it's through some insurance hurdles. I mean, there's so many things that come into running a business that you can't do it yourself, and you need a
Absolutely.
network if you're going to survive.
Yeah, and for the business owners, I also, to piggyback on that real quick, as they used to say in the boardroom, to piggyback, on that. Uh, I would say network with business owners outside of construction, even. I go to a lot of networking events and business events and or masterminds that have absolutely nothing to do with construction, and I'm the only person in construction there. And that's a really good place to be, because guess what? All those people either have construction projects or they know somebody that has a construction project. And as business owners themselves, they can recognize a good business owner, even if they've never used your services before. And learning from other businesses can help us as construction owners think outside the box and maybe do things a little bit differently than the construction industry's been doing it forever, because that's also okay.
Yeah, well said.
All right, well, we got the producer right here. Alex wants to play his favorite game, so it's time for the word association game. So here's how it works: you say a name, say a word, a construction term, and just the first thing that pops into your head, unfiltered, unscrubbed, uncensored. Let's go. You ready?
Can we curse? Because I don't know.
Yes,
Say whatever you
cursing's
want.
encouraged.
Nobody listens 48 minutes into the podcast anyway, so no one's gonna be here.
All right, that's fine.
Maybe
Maybe my mom.
If you want to cuss in front of her, go for it. First word,
right.
Change order.
Ugh.
Enough. Whether you want to say bid or estimate.
Ooh.
This
I guess I'm making sounds.
You got sounds.
No worries.
Sound association game. GC.
Oh shit.
I'll figure that'd be for the next one, but the next one's OSHA.
Not now.
The last one is BIM.
Not necessary. At least not for us, not yet. So we haven't even touched on that.
For what you guys are doing, yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah, it's.
No, we don't need it.
That's another module you'll unroll out when it's needed.
I've had training on it. And I have opened up my eyes to BIM, because we understand that it is a technology that's being widely used in the industry.
It's like any tool. It's got its time and place to be used. It's very great for, we used it as in a mechanical plumbing subcontractor and we used it to, all the projects we worked on use it, but we use it to go prefabricate all of our ductwork, all of our piping. So it was a huge part of our process, but it's, it's not for everybody.
No. And what I'll say, especially on large complex projects, the BIM is only as good as the person coordinating it. So
1,000%.
If people are working in their silos and they're not updating the same master file and the communication's not there, see, full circle back communication. Then
it's always about communication.
Go log like it really. Be back. Anyway, we can wrap this thing up. So, hey, Gloria, is there anything you want to plug? Any job openings you got? Opportunities? Any events you're going to be at? You go to a ton of events. Anything you want to plug out there?
Just give us a follow on all platforms. We're at GloJoy Co. And, we do have a bi-weekly live show on LinkedIn that's also streamed on YouTube called Everything Construction, where we have conversations with people in and around the construction industry. We've had Matt on one of the episodes in season 1, and we're getting ready to wrap up season 1, but I'd love to have Kyle on for season 2 to learn a little bit about his story. And the goal of that really is to highlight different people in the construction industry and just show different careers and opportunities within construction so that we can get more folks excited about construction. So
no, it's an awesome
thank
show.
You for that.
You do a great job of facilitating that, so it's been cool. I try to tune in as much as I can. It's awesome.
All the replays are actually, so good news for you, all the replays are being edited. We take out all the hi Jessies and, hi this person and whatever. And the high def recordings are being slowly released and uploaded to Spotify and Apple iTunes. So, you'll be able to catch up on season 1 on all your long Texas road trips or traffic throughout the summer.
Just driving through Houston's a road trip on its own. I can listen to, they say Houston's an hour away from Houston, so.
It is. I went to New Jersey yesterday and I drove 45 minutes to get there, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much for making the trip." And I was like, "Are you from Texas or are you like a Texas transplant?" Because I said I was from Houston, and you can't get anywhere without driving 45 minutes in Houston, at least,
No, it takes you 45 minutes to get 3 miles in Austin now. It's awful.
Yeah, it's awful. So thank you for having me, guys. Kyle, Matt, really appreciate y'all. Really love what you're doing here. Folks, also make sure you follow CM Mentors and these 2 fine gentlemen on all social platforms as well. Thank you.
We're going to have you come do all of our outros. You took our thunder, but it was even better than Kyle could have done. So.
No, it was way better. In fact, we're going to save that recording and we'll just put that in for the end of every show.
Go for it. Do you want make sure you follow, and subscribe also?
We did it. We just got it. We're good.
You're good. You're good.
Cut and paste.
Hit that notification bell. Don't forget that.
Gloria, as always, it was great chatting with you.
Yes, it was
Thank
great.
you so much, guys. Really appreciate y'all.